Hello class, welcome to Social Work 541, Social and Economic Justice. I'm excited to share the semester with you. My name is Vicki Klein. I'm going to be your professor this semester. First things first, I want to let you know how to contact me. First, you can always send me a message in Canvas in the platform. And if for some reason you're not able to get into the platform, you can send me an email to my Widener email, which is vaklein@widener.edu. You can also call me. My phone number is listed here, 443-653-6732. If you call me during the workday, just know that I do have a day job, so I'm often unable to answer, but you can leave me a voicemail or you can send me a text and I will get back to you as soon as possible, generally at least within 24 hours, if not sooner. You're also welcome to contact me to set up a video session so we can see each other face to face, but always phone and email contact is also very welcome. My office hours are pretty flexible, but I'm generally online grading your discussion forum posts on Monday and Tuesday evenings, but I'm always available to try to set up a different time if that doesn't work and we need to set up something that's mutually agreeable. Since we're going to be spending a lot of time together this semester, I want to share a little bit about me. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland, and I've lived and worked in multiple different places doing a whole lot of different kinds of work. My history is in both micro and macro practice, and I've always felt most comfortable practicing with my feet firmly planted in both of those realms, where micro work impacts macro work and vice versa. This is because I believe that that's where true social work practice is found, neither fully clinical nor fully public policy, but where the relationship between individual and societal environmental aspects comes to life. It's the place where policy impacts human lives and where human lives impact policy. I've worked in grassroots and activist settings. For example, I lived in a Catholic worker community, which was a soup kitchen and shelter for families, which also did organizing work around violence and poverty. I also spent years involved in humanitarian work on the U.S.-Mexico border, working on issues of human rights of migrants in detention, people in transit, people who had been returned after deportation. I spent a couple of years working for an NGO in Mexico City, researching the impact of U.S. immigration enforcement policies and practices on families living between the U.S. and Mexico, and engaging in public policy work with both governments and local organizations to improve, with both governments of the U.S. and of Mexico, to improve the situation for those families kind of caught between those systems. I loved that job in that I got to travel the country, Mexico, to train different groups and government workers on how to better provide human services to transnational families and migrant children. I'm now engaged in more direct practice, doing advanced generalist work in an outpatient medical setting with Johns Hopkins Community Physicians at the East Baltimore Medical Center. EBMC is part of a large network of primary care providers, and we work on basically every psychosocial need that can impact a person's ability to access health or mental health care. Much of my experience over the last decade plus has been working with immigrants in diverse settings and situations, and this is now still very much a part of my work in East Baltimore. So in this course, you're going to learn about the social work role in macro practice, community organizing and advocacy models, and how to assess a community in order to craft effective solutions. This course is based on the basic premise that as social workers, we must adhere to the ethical principles of social workers challenge social injustice. I've listed the principle here. If you aren't familiar with this and the rest of the Code of Ethics, now's the time to brush up and understand what we are called to do as social workers as part of this profession. I believe that this course material is essential to deepening your social work practice. The roots of social work lie in community practice, even for folks who will pursue highly specialized, clinically focused practice. As social workers, we can never divorce our work with individuals and families from the communities in which they live, and from the systems which affect them and us on a daily basis. It's my hope during this course that you're going to gain a better appreciation of traditional social work community practice models, as well as a sense of how social workers are presently bringing about community change in diverse ways. In addition to your coursework, I'm going to provide case and practice examples that should help illustrate the many ways that social workers and communities are engaged in community organizing, advocacy, and activist work. Even if macro practice is not where you see yourself or where you intend to go with your career, it's our responsibility as social workers to draw the symbiotic relationship between individuals, families, communities, and larger social policy issues. It is truly a reality that the clinical is the political and vice versa. We've all heard the personal is the political, but in social work practice, when a lot of our profession is targeting clinical practice, we need to kind of keep that in mind, that impacts our larger social environment, and our larger social environment impacts a person's experience clinically. Your grade in this class will be based on 5 main elements: your class participation in weekly discussion forum posts and a series of 4 assignments. Your first assignment will be a video presentation about your analysis of the community where you live or of which you're a part, or one that you've selected as some community that you're identifying. This assignment will be done individually and is done in week 2 of the course. More details will be provided in a subsequent video about that assignment. The 3-part series of community needs assessments and intervention plans will be completed with a dyad partner. You should be able to see in the class platform that there is an area for you to select your partner during the first week of the course, so please go in and sign up for your group so you know kind of who you're going to be working with, and you can start getting in contact with that person to start kind of organizing your work. Each of these assignments will be explained in detail and are outlined in your syllabus. Some of you will inevitably complain about working in a dyad, and trust me, I understand that that can be really challenging. I understand that it's hard sometimes to navigate working long distance with a partner. Do your best to be proactive in your communications, and remember to be considerate about making sure you understand your partner's work style and your expectations for one another. If you are experiencing problems with your partner which may impact your work, it's essential that you address these as early on in the process as possible. And please reach out to me with any concerns about whether it's trying to figure out how to constructively deal with the situation with your partner, or if you have found some irreconcilable work style difference, please let me know ahead of time so we can make any adaptations that need to be done before the assignments are due. So these are the assignments, and as I said, we will have videos that go over each of these assignments in more detail, and I will be available to answer any questions that you may have going forward. The key to this class is your participation. The discussion forums in this class are the heaviest weighted part of your grade. They're due on Thursday evening of every week, and your responses are due on the following Sunday night. Late posts will lose points. I utilize the rubric for grading and expect attention to quality posts, including referencing course readings and utilizing APA citation format. I hope that you take the time in your discussion forum posts to proofread, to make sure that you're presenting information and thoughts that are coherent and make sense, that go along with the prompt of the assignment. Many of you will probably use your telephones to do your assignments on your smartphones. That's okay as long as you are also paying attention to grammar and punctuation, capitalization, all of the different things that you would normally pay attention to when using a word processor. You also have to pay attention to that if you're deciding to use your telephone. So in the discussion forum posts, as I said, the key is your participation. You get out of discussion forum posts in this course what you're willing to put into them. Many of the discussion forum posts have a minimum word count of 75 words. I encourage you to please not produce lame responses. And all of you have participated in this program so far, and you've seen examples of really excellent, well thought out discussion forum posts, and then other examples that I like to say include a lot of fluff. So these are posts that include a lot of words that don't actually speak to the post itself, that seek to answer the prompt technically, but don't add anything to the discussion. So they may meet that 75 words, but they're kind of full of fillers. And I would really encourage you to not fill up the 75 words or more, if you're producing more, with fluff. I want to see the content of your thinking in these posts, and I want to see you digging really deep and exercising critical thought. It's important that you pay attention to that. Many of you are crunched for time, and you're balancing many different responsibilities, but it's important that you are willing to put into these discussion forum posts the most possible so that both you and your classmates can learn from them. Do yourself a favor and just contribute the highest quality work that you're able to. Ask questions of one another, offer suggestions and constructive criticism, give feedback on other posts. Don't write fluff posts. This is an example of a better response from the lame response that was previously mentioned. This writer goes in to express her agreement with the original post and then express why she agrees. And how do you apply that person's thinking to your experience, and how do you kind of take it a step further and suggest other things to read and look at? How do you express why you think that it's important that they focused on that, or what was different about their thinking versus your thinking? It is truly what you put into it, what you're going to get out of it. So there are some really important things that I want you to know for this class. Your writing in this class matters. Proofread your posts and all of your work. I have strong expectations when it comes to what you produce in this class for your assignments, and I expect you to produce good writing, use proper grammar, demonstrate high levels of scholarship and academic standards. I will deduct points for poor writing or sloppiness. Always pay attention to your APA citations, and please read the plagiarism information posted on the classroom site. All of your electronic posts and your papers are checked through VeriCite, so please pay attention to any red flags that pop up. Create original work. Avoid borrowing ideas and content from other students. Even if you have good intentions, it can lead to a very slippery slope for copying other people's work and presenting it as your own. It's very important that the work that you are contributing to this class is original and is representative of your thought process. And we take that very seriously. If you have any questions about what plagiarism could look like, please let me know, and I'm happy to give you further information or point you in the right direction. Due dates are posted. Please communicate with me about any issues that you anticipate may impact your ability to meet a deadline. I do take off points for late work. I understand that things come up and I will always accept your work, but if you don't follow the policy of asking for an extension at least 24 hours in advance, late points will be applied to your work. And so that's to keep things fair, that's to keep things even throughout the course and for all of your classmates. And as I said, life happens, and I fully make every effort to try to accommodate people if you need an extension or allow you to turn in your work late, but I expect you to also be accountable to the timeline that's set in the beginning of the course. If you have any questions about assignments, please feel free to, or anything that comes up in the course, please feel free to be in open communication with me. It's important for me to hear from you because we don't always know what's going on the other side of the screen. We don't have the benefit of being in a classroom setting where we can see what's going on with you and have a better sense of what's happening based on our interactions on a weekly basis. So what I know about you is what you allow me to know, right? So what you present to me through written format or through our interactions over email or over the phone, through your written work. So those interactions and hearing from you are very important for me to have a full sense of who you are and allow me to contextualize the work that you're submitting. So if you have specific questions about an assignment that's due on a particular weekend, please submit those questions about assignments that may be due that following Sunday before the end of the day on Friday. This will allow me to make sure I'm prioritizing time to answer those questions before the due date. Generally, I try to respond to your inquiries within 24 hours unless I know that I'm not going to be available, and then I generally try to let you know that. I've mentioned a couple of my expectations, and I just want to go over what you can expect from me. It's important to have expectations of one another. I mean, that's normal. It's a normal part of our educational experience. And I know that you have expectations of me, and I want to be respectful of those. So I will hold you to those high quality writing standards. And I'm going to do this because I believe that your agencies, your patients, your clients, and larger movements for social justice deserve professionals who exercise critical thinking and who demonstrate their commitment to excellence in every way. That demonstration of excellence begins with the way you present your thoughts in this program. We don't have other ways of gauging your comprehension of the material and your critical thinking. This is an online program, so the primary way we have of assessing your work and the quality of your work is through your writing. And so it's important to do that well. And if you struggle with that, it's important to communicate about that so we can help make sure you have the resources you need to produce good work. In a world full of injustice, it is so important that social workers are able to demonstrate the highest quality service that they're able to. Our clients and the people that we're advocating for deserve social workers who can present advocacy messages either on individual or a larger scale in the smartest, most efficient, sharpest way possible. And so our writing has everything to do with that. So I will offer thoughtful feedback. I spend real time with each of your assignments, all of your papers, your discussion forum posts, and I try to offer feedback that's intended to strengthen your work for the next assignment or for future efforts. Sometimes this means that I will express constructive criticism about your research or your writing or your chain of thought, your logical flow, and I hope that this feedback is useful for you and that you approach it with an open mind. I also expect you to apply this feedback when appropriate. So there are times that, it may be before a next assignment and I offer suggestions of kind of ways to reroute your thinking in order to make sure that it meets the requirements of the assignment or it deepens where you're going. And so I do expect you to kind of take that into consideration or at least engage with that feedback to try to make sure you're going on the right course. I also try to give feedback in a timely manner. I work hard to try to get your assignments and posts back to you within the week that you submit them, especially if you're depending on that feedback to produce another assignment that's due the following weekend. I ask sometimes follow-up questions in my comments to you, whether in your paper or in your discussion forum posts. So I hope that you make an effort to engage back with me so I can know more about your thinking, more about your reactions or concerns or responses. I hope that you challenge yourself in this course. I encourage you to think critically about your understanding of social justice, community, problems and solutions, power, oppression, and what it means to be a fully community-engaged social worker. The temptation in many of our settings is to focus on our clinical work and kind of disconnect or disengage from the larger community level things that are going on. Sometimes some of us are going to feel that that's overwhelming or we feel powerless, or it's not interesting, or politics are kind of boring, or politics are corrupt, and so we disengage from those processes. But in order for us to be truly connected to the roots of our social work profession, we have to think about how our work interacts with questions of social justice in very real ways. So I encourage you to think about that. I also encourage you to think critically about these course materials. Many of you have been practicing for a long time in a variety of different settings, so I encourage you to bring your practice experience to the table. Bring your questions to the table, bring your ideas to the table, incorporate these things into your discussion, forum responses, into your reflections on the course material. Some of the course material will feel very relevant to the work that you've been doing in the community. Some of it will be new, and so I encourage you to kind of think about it, challenge it. Do you agree with it? Do you not agree with it? Does it seem like it's touching anything in you or anything in your experience? I encourage you to ask questions of yourselves, one another, the institutions that we're a part of. Sometimes when thinking about social justice, we need to approach the institutions that we're a part of with a critical lens, right? Because all of our clients and all of our work are not equally represented in the institutions that we may be affiliated with or that we're a part of. And so I ask you kind of in this context, in the context of this class, be willing to deconstruct your understanding of what community is in order to assess it and in order to propose new solutions. Sometimes we need to think about our expectations for community differently in order to kind of recognize areas and opportunities for change. I also encourage you to think outside the box. Be willing to be uncomfortable, demonstrate critical thinking and problem solving in order to deal with complex community issues. The issues that face us on community levels are really complex, and depending on where you all are coming from or the communities that you're a part of, some are way more complex than others, right? So we're dealing with communities that have long-standing histories of civil rights issues, racial segregation, economic redlining, discrimination in many institutional ways. And so a lot of times we need to be able to constructively approach those issues in order to come up with new ways of thinking about them and propose new solutions that haven't been tried yet or new approaches. And that's how we begin to engage in community change. So I also want you to have fun. A lot of this material is very exciting and a lot of it will be new for some of you. So enjoy the process. If you've gotten this far in the video, thank you for hanging in there. Please send me a message during the first week to tell me a little bit about yourself. Begin a process of getting to know one another and let me get to know who you are. Let me know what you hope to gain from this course and just give me a little bit of an idea of what kind of social work you intend to practice. If you have any questions as we go forward, please don't hesitate to contact me. My contact information is at the beginning of this video. Thanks, everybody.